I know, man. It's not the same movie. I know, but it still has Rocky in it, man. And it is one of the best scores ever of all time. I mean, I don't think it made it into my top 10 list, but
or
it's
mine,
like,
but it's there. Well,
should
it's
have been there.
certainly one of the more recognizable ones.
Definitely, man. I mean, what Stallone did with Rocky back in the 70s and then in the 80s, I mean, it was kind of a phenomenon. And I mean, no matter where you go in the world, I mean, everybody knows Rocky, everybody knows Stallone for Rocky. Like, when you
Everybody knows
Stallone,
Philadelphia for Rocky.
exactly, and I mean, they even built the statue. Is not just in the. I mean, it's not just. I mean, they literally built.
It's not a
put
movie
it-
prop. It's there. It's there.
Yeah, it's literally there. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's one of
People
those.
still climb the stairs, you know.
And we've seen that in Creed, in the movie too, which was also kind of cool. When I mean, is this gonna be a spoiler review or just like? I mean, we can.
Okay, we're gonna try to not spoil it,
Yeah,
but here's the
I
thing.
mean-
The thing with Creed is you can't really talk about Creed without actually bringing up everything Stallone did with Rocky.
Exactly, and we
4.
did our top 10 Stallone movies a few months ago,
Yeah.
and we talked about Rocky a lot, and
We
we're not
can't
gonna
really talk about
Yeah.
the, you know, because it's Stallone, you know, like two movies jumped him out, like 2 roles lifted him from, you know, the Rocky and Rambo.
Rambo, yeah,
Those were
but
like
it's-
2 roles they made
But
him.
even, you know what, yeah, even Rambo, you know, when I think about Stallone, I don't necessarily think of Rambo.
Well, Rocky's gonna be like,
goes
oh
to
yeah, Rocky,
always,
man, he did Rocky.
always.
And we know there's people who say, well, he really shouldn't be making any movies after Rocky 3, but here's the thing.
He
And
did.
yeah, he did. So thankful he did.
I mean,
And we
Rocky
talked about
4
this-
almost won the Cold War for US too, so I mean, it's like,
Here's
just
the
one
thing.
of
Oh
those
yeah,
things.
I mean, that's like Rocky 4 is probably gonna be like one of those like.
And we're gonna talk about Rocky 4 because of Creed 2 a
Creed
lot.
2,
So
you gotta tie him in. Here's the thing: he made movies after Rocky 3, and he found
2 of them specifically. He made Rocky 4 and then Rocky 5. I don't even really remember. Like I remember he got this
Was Balboa
backing.
6?
Well,
Was
Rocky
Balboa-
Balboa was technically its own movie, but it's also Rocky 6 practically actually. So it's not called Rocky 6, but
Yeah.
it's
Well, here's the
Rocky
thing:
6.
after every movie that he did, every Rocky movie, he found ways to, you know, reinvent his character, like to put a new twist on the tale that we actually knew already.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because you're gonna have same, like, you know, he's gonna get into a fight, he's gonna get beat, then he's gonna train, and then he's gonna beat the guy
Yeah,
back.
you get the training. It's all about the training
And it's
montages
always,
in
listen,
these
it's
movies,
one of
man.
those things where it's like, hey, like, one of the most recognizable lines from Rocky is, you know, hey,
Yo, Adrian!
well, after Yo, Adrian, I got us the TV, is,
Yeah.
you know, like, no matter how hard you hit in life, life's gonna hit harder, and it's not about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get here and still get up.
Yeah.
And this seems to be like one of the themes that's following even through Creed 2.
Yeah,
So now
definitely.
switching
Especially in
to-
Creed 2. Not even Creed 1, not so much, but it's
Well,
like...
here's the thing, like, Creed 1 was like totally like, you're like, okay, he's not doing another Stallone movie, now he's doing a Creed movie, so how's that gonna work? And again, he found a ways to reinvent his character,
Not
to give
just
us a tale that was like, he blew your mind off. Like, you watched that movie and you're like, you did not expect it to be that good.
Good, definitely,
Like,
man.
he set the bar high. Yes, he won him an Oscar.
No, he didn't. He lost it to Mark Rylance.
What he do?
It was Bridge of Spies.
So
He
he only got
lost-
him a nomination. Okay, well,
He got
hopefully he gets
nominated.
another one here
I mean,
because
the
his acting
first
is...
Rocky got the Oscar. I think they even won the Oscar for best.
I can't remember, man.
I don't know, but
Okay,
it was definitely
my
nominated
memory is
for
not that
the
good.
best picture that year. So, first Rocky. So I mean,
Alright,
Rocky
so he
definitely
lost.
has the history of getting into Oscars one way or or another.
Hopefully Creed 2 makes you there too, because the story, like you said, I told you this yesterday
Yeah, we
when you
talked last
watched
night,
it, it's
yeah.
like, if this kind of had a sense of finality to it,
Definitely, yeah.
and it's like, if
And I
this
like that
is-
about this
if
movie,
this
yeah.
is like the last that we're gonna see of be it Rocky, be it Creed, And you mentioned that he said he's not gonna do any more Stallone.
Yeah,
any
Stallone
more,
said this is the end for Rocky. But you know, you never know.
You never know exactly. It's Hollywood.
He said the same thing about Rocky, you know, until Ryan
Now
Coogler, you know, approached him on the street or wherever it was, and he said, "Listen, I got an idea to bring Rocky back." And you know, at that point, you know, Stallone was, you know, I don't want to.
Yeah. Now
He didn't want to. And then, you know, he was like, "Okay, let's see what you got." And he told him a story, and he got involved because, like, you can really.
The story was
yeah.
that good. That it was like okay, but Creed 2 picks off where a
I
little
don't
bit
think
after.
it's a little bit afterwards, man.
No, it's
I
because
don't
at
know.
this point, you know, he's
It's
the
at least
champ.
a year because he wasn't
He got like
necessar-
6 fights and whatever, so it's probably a little bit more.
Definitely.
I'd say
because
even
there's-
3 years because I think he mentions that he and Bianca have been together for like 3 years at that point. So they only hooked
I
up.
was trying to figure out how long it's been.
I think it's like 2
but
3
I
years
never
at this
really
point.
heard it. So
Well,
it's
he
been
mentions
a
that they've
few-
been dating a couple of years. So a couple of years go
and you
by.
can't really have one fight right after the other, you know.
Exactly.
So it's like
you
you have
got
to
6
have,
fights after the Creed one. You know, it's like yeah, you're looking a couple of years, 2 3 probably. Now he's on top. You know, he's the boxer, and now there's a challenger in town. And he happens to be Victor Drago, who happens to be Ivan Drago's son.
let's call him Ivan Drago. I mean, we are Croatian,
Ivan
man.
Drago,
To all
okay,
the, to all the
you can call him
Americans.
Ivan, but we call him Ivan.
It's Ivan
Ivan
Drago,
Drago,
not
the
Ivan
Russian
Drago. Not
sensation.
Ivan Drago, okay?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
Drago,
Ivan
Drago,
Drago.
Drago.
It's Ivan Drago.
Don't blow the
let's-
name.
yeah.
It's only the name. It's like, okay, now you know they're gonna flash it back to Rocky 4. Now there's all these parallels they're gonna draw, and we all know in Rocky 4, Apollo Creed dies at the hands of Ivan Drago.
Yeah.
And so you know there's gonna be history here. You know they're gonna put a spin to it. There's gonna be a promoter who's gonna promote the fighters like son's revenge for whatever his dad's lost and everything else. And you get this. What I really like about it is the world building, the plot building, the character development that they
definitely.
put it in there.
Even
They
though there
just
was a
throw-
little bit too much character development, in my opinion, when it comes to Ivan Drago and his son Victor, like the
Here's
stuff
the
with
thing.
mom and the country, it was.
Here's the thing. I think
some of it
added-
was a bit too much. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying it actually just added the certain dose of humanity to Victor Drago's character. The
But
final
the-
fact,
it
when
was
mom
more for-
leaves, like when
I
you
think
can
it was
see
more for like the stuff with mom. Like whenever Ivan would mention mom, it was for Victor's sake. But whenever they brought in mom for Ivan's sake, that's where I had a problem with it. Because
Well, no, but you
Because
see every time
Ivan
Ivan
was-
looks at it, he was like, if Victor makes it, then she can come back to us. And I think that's...
and that's one of the problems I
And I
had
think
with the
that's
movie
the
too.
story that he sold his son on.
Because it's been 30 years, like, and she left them like 30 years ago, dude. Like, and the way they grew up and everything and that's kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna spoil the movie because at this point I really don't care. Because the stuff that happens in the movie is like, you know, after the last fight, things happen where Ivan and Victor discover like. It was kind of like watching Karate Kid. You know, the first one. At the end when Johnny, you know, lifts up, you know, what's his name?
Yeah.
Hand, you know, like this is the champ, you know, and then his coach, you know, has a problem with it. You know, Sensei has a problem with it. The same thing kind of happens here, you know. It's like Ivan discovers like, man, I mean, we were on top of the world and then we weren't and then, you know, we lost! There, I said it. We lost, and it was the way we lost too, and everything that we were actually fighting for. And that's the theme of the movie too. Is like Stallone, you know, Rocky keeps asking Creed, is like, "What are you fighting for? Why are you fighting for?" You know, it's like,
Yeah, because he steps
and
into
that's
the
a big
ring.
theme.
When he
And in
steps
the end of
into
the
ring,
movie,
it's
you
about,
know,
like, you know,
Ivan and Victor kind of discover for themselves. Even though it's like they both discover it for themselves. They don't necessarily talk to each other about it. They don't necessarily talk to each other about it. You know, Ivan uses it over the years more of as a, you know, motivation for Victor. But at the end of the movie, they discover, man, all these years, like we basically wasted 30 years of our lives. For what?
Well, they didn't waste it.
Well, not really, but it's
But
like,
you get the whole, like, because you're gonna have to draw another parallel to Rocky 4.
Definitely, man.
Where
Go
Creed
for it.
was when Drago was kicking the living daylights out of
Yeah.
Creed. Rocky should have thrown in the towel. Rocky didn't throw in the towel. Creed died, right?
Right.
At the end of this fight, since you're gonna spoil it anyways,
No, we don't have to spoil everything, you know. I mean,
you know, like
they lost the way they
Ivan
lost.
has that moment where like his son is literally getting the living daylights punched out of him.
Yeah, it's like 12th round, right?
Well, it's 11th or 12th at this
yeah,
point.
they
Like
didn't
they
really
went
say
to
it,
Mount,
yeah.
they went to length,
Yeah.
and he's got that moment, and Mom just left the ring, and
Yeah.
it's like
But whoever her guy was, like,
yeah.
and let's say it was, yeah, I don't
And
even
the
want to
thing was
spend
like
time
he had that
talking about
moments like where he just stopped, and you can see when he clicks, like, you know, we're not doing this for her anymore. We're doing
Yeah.
this for us. It's
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna let my son die in the ring just because like.
it. Yeah.
And then the end montage when two of them are back in Ukraine running, and it's like
Yeah.
that's what I said. Like the whole undertone of the movie, like the way they throw parallels between fathers and sons, the way they were brought together or separated,
And just
or,
life in general, I mean.
yeah, and like Adonis finally going to visit his dad's grave after the fight, and he's like, hey, like, I finally figure out what I was fighting for, which is, as you mentioned, what Rocky
Yeah, we're not
asked him
gonna
all the
spoil
time.
that part, but it's
Like,
like, yeah.
why are you fighting for? Why are you fighting for? Like, if you're fighting for yourselves, like, you have to have a reason for stepping into the
Yeah.
ring. Otherwise, you're not gonna get out of there alive, especially against
Yeah,
a
you
fighter
already
who's like,
lost, yeah.
who's like twice your size.
Yeah, and that's lessons, those are lessons that Rocky had to learn for himself too, you know, and whatever was, whenever he was fighting, I think it was Rocky 3 where he was fighting Mr. T, and he basically went into the ring, you know, because, you know,
because
he was
could,
the
yeah.
champion at the time, and this guy was challenging him, and he had to, you know, it's like, he went through those lessons himself, and
Yeah.
so he didn't want Creed, you know, to go through the same stuff, because being a champ, becoming a champ is one thing, but then staying champ is a completely different thing. So, like, it was a lesson he had to learn, and
Which is what we mentioned, like, when we said Rocky had to reinvent himself for every
Definitely.
movie. What they did with Creed, both the first one and the second one, the way they reinvented his character, it's just,
yeah,
it's brilliant.
definitely.
Like
man.
that's the Rockies. Like I went through 6 movies of punching people and getting punched,
Yeah.
and now I'm here. And now it's like if you have to go through your life and somebody's supposed to be your coach, it might
Yeah.
as well be Rocky.
Yeah.
And like the whole, like you said, the whole father and son undertone, like, you know, with Adonis and Rocky, he
And
calls
even
him
the
mom.
trainer, you know,
Yeah.
Apollo Creed's trainer's son is now
Training
Adonis.
the Don- yeah.
Yeah.
It's like all this. It's like the movies. Other than the whole Drago situation with the mom in Russia and getting
Yeah.
kicked out of Russia
Yeah.
and getting accepted by Russia again, and only to get to leave Russia, I guess.
Well,
I don't
yeah.
even think they were kicked out after the fight. I think they just left.
And
It's
I
like,
mean, movie set in 2018 or 19 or
Yeah.
whatever, and the political ties, right? I mean, movie is pretty realistic, so it's like,
definitely,
you know,
but
yeah.
like I would say this is like, I'm gonna go as far as say this is the best Rocky related. I'm gonna put it on top there, man. Now here's the thing: Rocky's always gonna be, you know, came out of nowhere, surprised you. Rocky 4 with Ivan Drago showing up the first time is probably like, but this one can go toe to toe with any of them.
I would still say Creed is my like not my favorite, but probably the best Rocky movie. Maybe I had to watch Rocky Balboa again, but even then, did we watch that one in cinema? I can't remember.
No, if you did, I was before my time. The Balboa one? Yeah, Balboa we watched.
Yeah, I think we went with the
Balboa. No, Balboa we watched in the
Matko and
cinema.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, it was like really fun watching. It was there was definitely finality to it because he was getting old back then.
Yeah,
and
and
this
then-
was before all the expendable movies, and
Yeah, at that point he was like, he's an
It's
old
like,
fighter, and
I just wanna make
he goes
this-
like 12 rounds with the kid 3 times. He could be his granddad, not
Yeah.
his dad.
and
he
I
goes
think that's even the
toe-to-toe.
joke in the movie about it
He
too.
goes like
man.
toe to
It was
toe
mostly
with
just
him with 12
nostalgia
rounds.
too, anyway. So
And he
it
comes
was a
on
good
top,
movie,
even
too.
though the judges don't give him the win. But
And we
when
thought
he
it was
walks
the-
out of it,
and we thought it was the
and
end
then
of
the
it.
whole arena is like, Rocky, Rocky. And he's like, Even though he didn't.
Because he was forgotten
even-
at that point. Like, I mean,
Yeah, it's
even
like
now
he was
in
an
Rock-
old dude. You
yeah,
know?
even in Creed 2 now, like, you know, there's that lamp in front of his house, and, you know, people are still ignoring him because they don't kind of remember, even though he's a local hero. So
Yeah, but he
it's
got
like,
old, man.
yeah,
People, you know,
people forget you, and I mean, that's
Yeah.
a good. One good thing about it, but it's like there's a part of it, you know, because his restaurant's always almost empty. Like in Rocky Balboa, it's not that empty, but in Creed 2, it's like in Creed 1, you know, he's getting supplies, you know, out of the you know, truck, and it's like,
yeah, but
you
here
can see
in
there's
the
some
restaurant,
business,
it's
yeah.
always
So
like
it's-
late at night.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna be there. But the whole, like, you know, the whole concept, like,
But watching
found-
Streets of Philadelphia and just, you know, it was nostalgia factor in there. They wanted to do a movie for the sake of making a movie, but then again, they didn't just want it to make it for the sake of a movie. They wanted to have
I
a
think
good
they
story.
wanted to do a good job,
And
I
they
think
did, and they
I
did
think they
until
were-
you know Creed, and that's why I think because Stallone was nominated, you know, for like the best supporting actor for
I
Creed,
actually give him a
and,
nod for this one as well.
and I think
I'd go as far as to say,
you know
like,
what
he
I
taught himself acting.
dude
Because
I give
he's
it
not,
just for sake of giving it to him, if for nothing
here
else.
he's not just punching
Because
people
you've
around.
seen
Like,
already-
he have to act.
Definitely, man, definitely. And we know he can act. Like, his roles are so versatile. I mean, forget just about, it's not just the action movies. Like, when you watch Rambo, man, I mean, First Blood, there's acting involved there, you know? It's like, when you're watching Rocky, like, the dude was living on it. Like, he was homeless when he was making that movie. And the dog that was in the movie with him, Butkus, like it was like they were living on the streets together, you know. He was literally like he was telling his own tale, and so it's like there's definitely acting in. And then when you're watching other stuff like Oscar, there's like Oscar is this comedy that's completely different from everything he's ever done before. Then you can just make that kind of a movie, you know. And it's like even when you're watching like one of my favorite movies of his, and I think
Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
no, man, Over the Top. Over the Top. And we said this, I was talking about this movie in our top 10 Stallone movies. It's like one of those movies that kind of went forgotten, but it's like, and it is kind of over the top, pun intended, like definitely, like, but
Yeah,
it's
but
like
it's a great movie,
acting
like
is
this-
like
yeah.
he has this son that has
And he's
been
a truck driver, you know, like,
yeah, and there's the
shooting to be the arm wrestling
family
champ and the whole.
yeah.
And the
there's
grandfather was-
acting
yeah.
involved, and then when you watch Rocky Balboa, there's acting involved
Because you gotta act. Like, you know, at
so-
one point punching isn't enough. You have to have enough
and
of the story
you know,
built around it.
forget about the action, man. Expendables are, you know,
Well, you
they're
know-
proof of that. Like, you can just come on there and just be yourself, you know, do this, you know,
Well,
I'm a Stallone thing, I'm gonna shoot you if you don't move, you know, it's like you can do stuff like that because you know, you're Stallone, man. So it's like you can do whatever you want to. So it's like he can do it. And there's not necessarily acting involved in it, but it's fun and people love it and like it. And I love it. I love seeing that. But when it
Well,
comes
I
to
mean,
Creed 2,
you're-
I hope he gets the nomination just because to me he was ripped off. Mark Rylance definitely deserved an Oscar for
We did.
Bridge
we
of
did.
Spies, but I think Stallone deserved it more. So hopefully this
Well,
year.
Stallone
I mean,
is kind of on
who knows?
because of the whole action sequences that he has to go through in all his movies. His acting kind of goes.
And we'll talk
under
about
the
action
radar.
sequences in our Oscar video and what they were planning to do with the most popular, you know, Oscar category and stuff like that. And
I have no idea what you're talking about.
well, you'll know eventually. But it kind of died. But
How do you want to
anyways,
rate this movie?
I'm giving it a. You know, because I didn't like it as much as I loved Creed, and we didn't necessarily, you know, rate Creed. We didn't even do a review about Creed. I would give Creed 25, and I'm giving this one a 23.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I give them both 25
Okay, yeah, I can.
because this is my kind of.
Dude, yeah.
I love the story. The story got me.
And you
the
know,
whole,
it's like because people who
Oh, yeah.
know us, like they know I don't like boxing. I don't like boxing in general. So watching the boxing movie to me is like, you know, if I like it, that's saying a lot. And you know,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna go like I watched Creed 2 because it's a Rocky movie, pretty much. I wouldn't go see it if it was just, you know, I like Michael, but it's like I'm not gonna go watch a movie just because Michael B. Jordan's in it. Okay, it
yeah, but when
depends.
Rock is in it, it's like,
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Sly.
It's
like,
Rocky.
yeah.
It's Rocky. You're gonna go watch Rocky.
So and Sly and Michael B. Jordan definitely like a great duo, man. Like
Dude, they clicked.
Dude,
Like the whole training
yeah.
montage in the desert thing.
One of my favorite parts.
Like,
And then the way they
and you knew that it was gonna be like, hey, in order for, because they set it up, it's like, if you're gonna have to fight him, you can't find him your usual style.
Yeah.
You gotta change. So you know they have to tear him down.
I thought they
to
were,
build it up.
because they were supposed to go to Russia just like Rocky did in Rocky.
Well, I'm
4.
glad they didn't.
I thought they were gonna go, and when I was like,
I'm
please
glad they
don't.
didn't. I'm glad they didn't. They found a way. It's like,
I
hey,
would be
this
like,
is where boxers
it would be
come.
great nostalgia factor, but
Yeah,
it's
but
like
it
I was
wouldn't
like,
work for the story.
yeah,
and they're like,
definitely.
this is where the
because
boxers
you knew
come.
montage was coming anyway, so it's like
This is where the boxers come to like reinvent themselves.
Yeah, it was,
and you know
and what they did with the original Rocky score and putting vocals in it, the choir vocals, and then just, I mean, you can, anybody who knows, I mean, you can notice it, and it does stand out, but it stands out because it really fits perfectly that
yeah, they
scene.
didn't overuse it or
Yeah,
anything
it
like
wasn't
that.
just, you know, let's do vocals just because we can or whatever. It was just, you know, free, you know, they were just like singing everything Rocky is. So, and Creed was, and is. So it was like definitely great spin on the original score. So,
Agreed.
yeah.
Great movie overall.
Yeah,
Go and watch it. I was asked, do you want to watch it? Should you watch it in theater? Yes, you should.
Even if we spoil it for
Like,
you, you made
really,
it this
you should.
far.
Well,
go watch it,
here's the
yeah.
thing: Rocky's movies that kind of spoil themselves because
If
they're
you
all the
watch one
same.
Rocky movie,
You saw them all.
You've seen them all.
You
It
know,
just-
you know what's gonna come. You know he's gonna fight a guy bigger than himself, lose, train his ass off, and then come back and kick his ass. So,
Yeah.
hey, that's what Rocky does.
and
And here,
Creed
like,
does it
if we
great,
saw,
too.
if this is the last we're gonna see of Rocky in the theater, if this is the last we're gonna see of Creed in the theater, it's a worthy send off.
Definitely, man.
It's definitely a worthy
Definitely.
send off, and it's like and it's worth the price of admission.
Definitely.
That's it from us. Until next time.
Bash Bros up.